This time on the infamous project.
Probably about as expected, I guess. Like, look at this. Woo! You can see I got the bumper just kind of sitting there. I haven't tried to put it on by any means. I did pull the fog light reinforcement bracket from the bottom out, and these brackets, they're actually a little bent. So I'm gonna have to straighten out these tabs. You can see right here how that's bent and how that's bent. So I'll get those in the vise, smash them out straight. The bar is sitting in the pile over there. It doesn't need to go back on. In reality, the structure of the bottom side of the stalker bumper is actually pretty rigid, so it'll be fine. We'll get the bumper reinforcement back in there, but what I want to do today, just because it's so windy, is I'm probably going to take off the upper intake manifold and get these valve cover gaskets changed, just because, and it's hard to see on the passenger side with all the emission stuff, but look at here, guys. Like, you can see how much that oil is dripping down there. And look at this, we still got the date coded 1987 plug wires. Look at that. Awesome. So I'm going to pull this intake off. You know, we'll have to get hopefully these screws come out. We'll see. You know, disconnect our salt and pepper shaker off its connector here, which actually it's already snapped, so that'll be easy. We'll pull the lines off, everything else. It'll be an opportunity to, actually, we're gonna do a little trick here on the coolant tube. I'll show you guys something that you can do that's kind of a neat little trick once we get this stuff off. But let me go get some tools. We'll start getting rid of, or popping all this stuff off, and then hopefully, yeah. Usually every time you get a gasket kit, you're gonna get the cork ones. In fact, there's one right there, and here's two right here. And I'm sure I've got an extra intake manifold gasket, so that'll be fine. Okay, what do we have here? Well, if I wanted to get into doing the lower, I've actually got a kit right here. I really don't want to have to do the lower, but anyways, I know it's here. We'll get these guys out for now. Intake manifold is off. You can see the condition of things here. Not too bad, in all honesty. Like, you know, that PCV line's factory. Of course, it's full of cracks, so, you know, we'll change these lines up, change the main vacuum line. We'll cap this one off that was going down to the charcoal canister purge stuff and all that other good stuff. This was I think this was capped. This is capped from factory, and that's just rotted right off. So that was a nice vacuum leak. So amazing, the car ran as good as it did. That's probably why it sounded like it had a cam when it was idling. But guys, look at all the nuts in here. So I'm gonna go get the vacuum. We'll vacuum this all up. Ooh, look at that. Some of you guys are probably wondering, okay, well, you cut this out, that's fine and dandy, which I have to tighten this guy back down. We did get the nut off though, which I was actually pretty impressed. But the reason that I cut and left this here is because I'm actually going to rotate this guy around and face this and that way. If you guys remember, we cut this side off the water pump that normally goes and feeds your heater core tube. Well, if you turn this around, what you can actually do is you can maintain your coolant temp sensor here. It'll just be, you know, a little bit more over in this area, and then you can hook the hose up to it, and that way you still get coolant flow. And whatever, guys, if you have that Y block for your fan, electric fan switch or whatever it might be, this is a really good way to be able to maintain everything that's going on here. Ultimately, you can always cap that side of the water pump off and then run your coolant temp sensor in there. There's multiple ways to do it. I just wanted to show you guys this way. So ultimately, we'll see what I end up doing here. But for now, I am going to clean everything up. We will pop this valve cover off and hopefully get this gasket changed. It's actually also going to be an excuse to, oh, I forgot. It even has the cherry picker hooks on it. So might need to get down there and undo some header stuff. Maybe I'm going to remove all this. Pollution pump's bypassed anyways, so there's really no point in having it at this point. That kind of snowballed into, well, cleaning out all of the nuts and dried up berries and whatever else the squirrels and whatnot had in there, and taking out vacuum lines, emission things. I disconnected the injector harness, and you know, in reality, what I'll probably do is I'll probably go get some new O-rings and O-ring all the injectors. Like I probably should. I don't know if I will. I don't know, guys. Anyways, yeah, we can really see how bad all that was leaking. The reality is going to be, is I bet you that lower intake's probably not too far behind it, but I really don't want to get into that until we really know. Like, the reality is, all the things that I'm pulling off and that I'm removing, getting out of the way, is this going to make it that much easier if I have to come back and, you know, pull the upper off again. It doesn't take very much to pull the upper off, and then if I have to ultimately pull the lower and redo it, or who knows, maybe I end up putting a fancier lower intake manifold on this. Maybe I use one of the Explorer ones. But really need to be able to get this thing running to the point where I can heat cycle it and not feel like it's going to catch on fire. And one other thing that I did notice, it is low on transmission fluid, so I'm going to go get some fluid as well. And if you see that, it's kind of nowhere it's at the low spot, and I did throw a little bit in there. So that could explain a little bit of the engagement issues. So before I go dropping and servicing the transmission and stuff, I really just want to try adding fluid first and see if I have any more luck with it. Because I know the one line going into this radiator, I think it's the lower one, it's a little cockeyed and I'm not sure. I know there's a leak there. So I've got that radiator here, which I should be able to use this one. Can swap that out, get the lines in here appropriately, and everything should be okay. But that's going to be it for today. I don't think it's going to be it for the video. You never know. But there you go. Stuff snowballing. It's just kind of how these cars go. But this is all maintenance stuff. You got to do this stuff, guys. You can't just ignore you just can't ignore stuff like this and not do it. So, all right, another late afternoon here, and just finished working on Justin's black notch project and got the bay and all of the inner aprons and everything else painted up. So now I got my Miller Lite cracked, and we're back here with Project FOXIDIZED. So this is pretty much where we left off yesterday. And I went and got some O-rings, guys. We're gonna pop these fuel rails off and replace the O-rings in the injectors, just to, like, why wouldn't you? Just makes things a lot easier. We'll get the valve cover gaskets swapped out here, and hopefully we'll be in a position to start putting the upper intake manifold back on and see where we go from there. And these are 8mm or 5/16. Now, I did vacuum most of all the dirt and the debris out of here, so hoping that, you know, we minimize dropping any dirt or anything else down in here. So just leave these out of the way. You get a little pack of 8 like this. Of course, make sure you don't lose any of them. They even come with a little tool to help get them on. So these ones are brown, the factory ones are black, and these ones are definitely squishier than these ones. In reality, guys, I don't know if I really needed to change these. Just based on how messed up everything else is, I figured, you know what, we're in here, you know, sort of like, why not? Down the tops of all these. And injectors are like, there's actually a little filter on the top of each one, right? So you want to be careful. Don't be too crazy. But yeah, it'll give us an opportunity to get, yeah, that one's got shit in it too. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, but even knocking them upside down. So we'll get them all cleaned out. A good exercise nonetheless. Almost like cleaning the plaque out between your teeth. Get out the old WD-40. Make it easier to get everything seated. Woo! Oh my God. look at this. Oh my. This motor is gonna need some seafoam in the worst way. Unreal. Unreal, unreal. This thing was running as good as it was. Good old 302. Can't kill them. Here I am worrying about damn O-rings on injectors, and look at this. Like, I don't even want to be careful where I'm scraping and throwing stuff on the ground. Like, look at this, guys. See these little metal inserts? Yeah. You don't want one of those going down in your motor. Now, in reality, it might make it to the pan. Is it going to make it up in your motor? Hopefully not, but yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you can account for all of those. Not too bad, right? For a little bit of elbow grease, WD-40, a couple microfibers, shop towels, pick tool, flathead screwdriver, and we got most of everything out. The biggest thing, the ports for oil drainage were actually clogged, and that probably explains some of the issues I was having when I was trying to change the oil initially. If you guys remember, I had to actually blow compressed air through the oil filler neck to get things to unclog and start draining. It's a wonder this thing ran as nice as it did, to be honest with you, but that just goes to show how amazing these old 302 motors are. So now that things are fairly clean, I still got to clean up the inside of that valve cover, and then I'll jam on the gasket on this side, and then I'm going to call it a night because that took up way more time than I thought. I'm hoping that maybe the driver's side isn't as bad, but chances are it will be. So definitely unexpected thing, roadblock, and you know, some of you guys are like, man, that motor's probably fucked. The motors or the car is shit. Like, why are you wasting your time? Well, the motor hopefully is still good. Like, somebody would have sold this and said, yeah, the motor's fine, it starts up, and you know, do a 4-cylinder conversion or stick it in your 5.0 that has a bad motor. And well, you guys just saw what the inside looked like. So all of these items and things that I'm doing are things that you would have to do anyways. Maybe a little bit more of a pain in the ass because it's in the car, but hopefully it'll be that much rewarding, or that much more rewarding, when this thing fires back up once I get everything back together. It's another day with Project FOXIDIZED, and well, we're starting a little earlier today. It's Thursday before the long weekend. I finished up what I needed to do at the other shop. So you can see there's still some sunshine here. So I guess I'll be getting some sun on my redneck. So yesterday finished off everything on the passenger side. We're going to tackle the driver's side valve cover today. And I am assuming it's going to be just as bad as what was going on over there. So I managed to get all the inside of the valve cover all cleaned up, new gasket on and everything else. And to be honest, guys, I have a strong feeling I might end up pulling the lower intake manifold off, just because I kind of feel like that's what needs to be done. Like, let's see how the driver's side looks here when we pop this guy off, and then we'll make the call. All right, guys, when I say the oil was pooling up in the heads, I wasn't lying. That's gonna leave a nice mess in the driveway. Oh, what a mess. Yeah, it looks just as nasty as the last side did. Just look at the oil, guys. No place for it to drain. Right in there is where it's supposed to be able to drain, but it can't. Oh, try and pick. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, good thing I didn't let the motor run too long, right? Gasket. That's as clean as she's gonna get. Got the inside of the valve cover reasonably clean, and got our new cork gasket here. Good enough for stock. Our surface is reasonably clean as well. So let's see here. Well, here it is. Probably about as expected, I guess. Like, look at this. Probably take a lot of seafoam and other additives to be able to get rid of all this sludge. So yeah, we'll clean all this up. We'll get some new gaskets on here and hopefully get the motor flushed out and everything will be okay. Saturday of the Labor Day long weekend, and I've gone ahead and done a couple little preparation things just to get ready and to make sure that I have everything that I need to slap the top end of this motor back together. So if we look down here, upper intake manifold, got some new vacuum caps on here. Not going to worry about the one that used to go down to the charcoal canister. Replace the PCV lines here. This was actually some leftover tubing that came with Jerry's leftover Coyote bits or something. So new PCV valve in there, and what else? That's pretty much it for the upper. The lower, we've got new thermostat housing. We've cleaned all the surfaces up. And of course, we got our gaskets, we got our Pookie, and all of our hardware has been cleaned up. We'll have some anti-seize, put all that stuff on there to make sure that we don't run into any issues in the future. Reality is, guys, we didn't break one bolt. Not one bolt was ultimately that hard to get out. And probably the hardest one was one of these thermostat housing guys, but they still came out in the end. And there's the aftermath of that. Got this flipped around, so that's ready to go. Got the plug in the back of the intake there, because we're not going to worry about those stupid coolant lines that go up to the throttle body, or the EGR plate, I should say. Still need to swap out the O-ring on the distributor here. And in fact, I need to go and look at my footage, because I didn't even mark where which direction the rotor was facing when I pulled this out. Yeah, this O-ring was toast, guys. Literally just like crap. Oh yeah. On my second Miller Lite, and managed to rig together a little bit of a pipe here for the, well, it's not really a cold air intake. It's just an intake tube, because that one was all rotted. It is stretched and just barely holding on, but it will do what it needs to do for the sake of this exercise. So we got the distributor back in pretty much where I think it was, and timing sort of adjusted where I think it was, and plug wires, original plug wires are on. So now it's a moment of truth. Moment of truth for this video. Let's get some spark here, and let's get this routed a little nicer. There we go. Something like that. All right, guys, let's see if the old girl will fire up. Prime the pump a couple times. Oh yeah. Oh, there. Oh, whew. Whew, whew, whew. Okay. Interesting. Kind of sounds like the timing's off a little bit, doesn't it? All right, guys, something was really wonky. The car fired up initially, then died, and there's something that's keeping spark from wanting to occur at all times. But I think whatever I've moved and jiggled, I think it's probably a fusible length that's bad, to be honest with you guys. But let's see if it'll start up now. There we go. And I think we might have lost our spark again. Let's see. Maybe not. There we go. Burn off a little bit of that leaked out oil. Idling a million times better now. We'll have to get the oil pressure is working. So we're gonna have to get the timing set. No big deal there. And yeah. Whew. Like I said, there's something a little dicey. I'll get small wiring issue. No big deal, right, guys? Foxbody stuff. So anyways, there you guys go. Motor ripped apart, motor back together. Hopefully things are flowing and cycling better. And once we get the timing set, hopefully we have some pretty good throttle response. And got to deal with the radiator transmission next. and then braking, and then stance, and then everything. So stay tuned, guys. Project FOXIDIZED.